Hi, I'm Extraayogurt and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're not new, then welcome back. And today's build is super different from what I'm usually doing, and I hope you guys find it interesting. It took me over the span of this whole entire past week to really get it perfect to the point where I felt confident sharing it with you guys. So yeah, I think for now, I just want this to be a showcase build, so I haven't put it up for download yet because I'm almost certain this lot will absolutely crash your game. I mean, if you guys really want to download it and you think your computer can handle it, I'd be happy to make it available for download. But anyway, I want to give you guys some context on what Kino der Toten is. Basically, it translates to Cinema of the Dead, according to Google. And this is a zombie map that came from a game called Call of Duty Black Ops 1, which was released in 2010. And so, although it may seem very random, this is one of my all-time favorite games ever. I have really fond memories of playing this game with my dad growing up, and I really always wanted to build it because I think the map is designed really well, and I feel like now as an adult I finally have like the understanding and the skills to be able to reimagine it into The Sims. That being said, something important I should mention is that I have not built the entire map. Basically, the map is one big circle, and the middle of the map is the main portion, which is the theater. And I've only built the right side of the map. Basically because in the game, if you really want to maximize your rounds, I've noticed that a lot of people agree that the best route to take is that right side of the map. You guys will be able to understand and see more as we build more, but yeah, it is a lot easier for me to build the parts of the map that I'm used to seeing rather than trying to look up screenshots of the other half of the map, or of course load up the game and play the game and try to use the other path just because I'm not very used to it. I also think I built some of the most iconic parts of the map, so in the end I'm really happy with how it came out. One thing I will say is in the actual game, the map is so dark. It is super dark. It's very hard to see anything, and that really adds to like the grungy moodiness of the map, and it can be very hard to replicate that kind of dark feel in The Sims because obviously The Sims 2, it's not meant to be a very dark game. It's meant to be very colorful and vibrant and bright. So you guys will notice in the end, especially when you see the screenshots, that it is significantly brighter than the actual game, but I feel like I'm okay with that. I really like the idea of there being some elements here that just remind you that it is The Sims 2. So yeah. And I will mention that we are building on the biggest lot in the game, which was still just barely enough space to fit half of the map. So hopefully that explains well enough my reasoning for not building the entire map. Another thing is that it's very hard to find pictures of what the exterior of this building might look like. So I kind of had to just use my imagination and work something out. The exterior of this map really is not, it's not really that important. The only reason I even tried to make the exterior look okay was because I wanted it to look nice from the neighborhood view. I didn't want it to just be a big gray box. So yeah. So you guys will see me frequently building these little 3x4 or 2x4 rooms, and those are basically just supposed to be like the little spawn points that the zombies come out of. And I made them into rooms because it was really important for them to be able to emit light. And each of the spawn points in the game, I noticed that they emit like a certain kind of lighting that I feel like really adds to the map feel, and you guys will see what I mean way later down the line in the build. But I also surrounded the entire lot with a two square wide like border, and I had to do that to make sure that I had space for those spawn points. Even if I built all the way to the edge of the map, I needed to make sure that I still had space to add those little rooms. And then you guys will also see that basically the design is kind of weird. There's a lot of stairs. So the theater is really supposed to be downstairs from the lobby. But that is something that would have been very hard to do. I would have had to make a basement, and therefore the whole build would have had to be on foundation, and I really didn't want that. And then there's so many different varying levels in the map. It would have just gotten really complicated. So I decided to make the theater on the same level as the lobby, and then I used stages in different places to try to add some different heights. And then I end up using a full length staircase to go from the lobby into the next section of the map. And it was really confusing trying to work through this without constantly looking at some kind of reference picture. But like I said before, this took me really long. I drafted it out many times before I found the perfect layout that I wanted to do. So it honestly, it might look like I'm going through the layout pretty smoothly, but that's just because I've practiced this so many times, and there was so much trial and error. But yeah, so it also is a lot easier to build this way when I just make a huge box and build inside of it, because then I have grid tiles already laid out where I need them to be laid out, if that makes sense. Another thing you guys will notice is there are a lot of odd and inaccessible parts of the build, and I did that on purpose. I only wanted to build what was necessary and what you needed to see, and everything else that's inaccessible is just there to make the exterior of the building look normal. So you don't have random rooms just hanging off the edge and stuff. So yeah. Part of me really wanted to constantly include screenshots from the game so that you guys could get a comparison. But for one, I almost feel like that would be working against me, because then you would see all of the imperfections very clearly when looking at them side by side. And I don't want that to take away from the build. Like I feel like I've captured the kind of essence of it really well, even though I can't make it look exactly like the map in the game. But so that's my first reason. Secondly, the game is set in Germany in 1963 at the end of World War II, and I'm sure you can kind of deduce what kinds of things are happening in the game. So the zombies that you're fighting are Nazi zombies, and there are many flags and symbols hanging around the map that I would like to avoid showing on my video. So yeah, just know that if you want, you can look up Kino der Toten and see what the map looks like for comparison. Or if you've already played the game, then I'm sure you'll see this and be like, okay, yeah, that looks like the map, or at least like looks enough like the map to where I can say you made a good effort. So anyway, we've moved on to, I want to say this is considered like the kitchen or like bar area. And then attached to that is the dressing room, which is then attached to the stage. So this kitchen area right here with the two staircases, that is also like a very like iconic area of the map. I've seen lots of pictures of it, so I feel like it was really easy for me to replicate that kind of feel that I needed to. This is really weird for me, guys. Like, building from something else is something that I'm not comfortable with, and like I'm still learning how to do. And like I said earlier, I feel like that's one of the reasons why this was such a good challenge for me, even though it was making me want to pull my hair out so many times. I feel like it's helped me get a little bit better at building from references instead of just building from the heart, I guess. So yeah. All right, so here you guys will see me kind of blanking out areas, adding ceilings and or floors to areas. And I think at this point I was satisfied with the layout, and I was just trying to make sure everywhere that needed floors had floors. All the inaccessible portions were covered with flooring. When you're working with a really big build, seeing so many grid lines, it can get nauseating, and it can also make it hard for you to work. So that's it. That's pretty much the only reason why you see me doing all this. And yeah, so you guys will also notice that as I'm doing the very top ceiling covers, or ceilings, excuse me, I leave some of the rooms open, and that's because I downloaded this really, really cool piece of CC. I can't remember from who off the top of my head, but really cool piece of CC that allows you to have these nice vaulted or like curved ceilings. And in the game, ceilings are very important. When I was going through and taking my screenshots, I went around to each room and made sure to look up and see what the ceiling looked like, because this is meant to be like an abandoned theater, and it is very, very elaborate looking. It looks like a really nice theater. And the ceilings are a big part of that, so I needed to make sure that I could add that sort of detail, and it was just the perfect piece of CC that you guys will see later on. Also, I will make sure to link every piece of CC the best that I can in the description, even though, like I said, for right now it's not available for download. But like, seriously, if you guys want to download it and try to load it up in your game, just let me know and I will upload it to SimFileShare and to Mediafire. But yeah, I'll make sure to link all the CC that I used. It's just too many objects to remember everything and say it as we're going through the video, if that makes sense. So but yeah, of course I have the two big grand staircases. I really wish I could find a grunge free color of the staircases, but that was one of the few things that I could not find. But I think they look all right. They still look kind of old, which helps. I didn't want anything to look too modern because, like I said, this is set in the 60s. So, but yeah, I was willing to sacrifice a little bit of the grungy look with the stairs. So in the game, as you move from area to area, you have to spend money in order to unlock doors. And when you do unlock a door, the door then like opens up and it looks like something like this. I just thought this was so clever to place doors next to the, what are they called? Arches, to make it look like the door is like swung open. So that's just one example of one of the little details that I thought would be really important to include, and I'm glad I could find a way to do that fairly easily. But yeah, so it's just little things like that that I had to keep going through, either playing the game or looking up screenshots or looking up playthroughs of the game to see and make sure that I didn't miss. When it comes to replicating something from real life or from a game, and I think I've talked about, or I like did a whole thing about this before, but like it's really the little elements that count and will eventually kind of like come together and end up really making your build look spot on. And one of those things too was the lighting. Most of this build I kept the lights off. So like, obviously you guys know in order to place lights and have them turn on, you have to make sure that your night mode toggle is on. And so I made sure to do that, but only for the specific lights that I wanted to be on, which is very, very few. Like I said, the map is super, super dark and I really did not want to disrupt that. You guys will see I keep using these cutouts, like it looks like the wall is like broken off. That is from a creator from Mod The Sims. Like I said, I'll make sure to link everything in the description. But amazing creator from Mod The Sims created that, created this demolition set to help you make your buildings look like they're just deteriorating. And I think it is like one of the most amazing sets of CC I've ever seen. And I don't know if this build would have the same effect without it. And there you guys see, I just again did like the kind of open door thing. And I think for the first half of this video, I'm just going through like making sure that all the build elements are straightened out. And then eventually we will move on to wall coverings and floor coverings. And honestly, I feel like those were the two most challenging parts of this build. Placing objects was challenging because there were so many things to place and details to add, but just getting a really solid foundation and solid layout with all the right colors and getting it to just feel right, that is like most of my work. So yeah. All right, so this area of the map in particular was especially difficult because as I'm building it looks fairly simple, but like I said, in the actual game while you're playing and getting chased by zombies, you don't notice these things. Like, it was really hard for me to imagine, like, okay, what is this theater filled with? What is everywhere? Like, I know there's a bunch of junk, there's a bunch of like cinema chairs and stuff, but what does it all really like look like? And partially having to just imagine it myself and look at screenshots and look at the game. And anyways, in the end, I came up with some sort of combination of the two. So to me, it looked like the floors were like crumbling at the edges, but it's like the levels are arranged in a way where, you know, you can have all the seats surrounding the big projector screen, obviously, like in a regular theater. But yeah, so I just kind of figured I'd do that and fill the space up with a ton of chairs, a bunch of like crumbling floor, and yeah, I mean, I feel like I did the best I could. You guys will see later on, one of my techniques to make like giant piles of rubble is just to make a bunch of hills by adjusting the terrain, which is why I left some spaces uncovered by floor tile, because I'm going to alter the terrain in those spaces. And then I use some like scrap terrain paints that I downloaded, another great piece of CC, and that really helped me create like the illusion of big piles of rubble and trash and everything. So yeah, with every attempt that I made at drafting this, I learned a little bit more, I thought of a little bit more details, and I downloaded a little bit more CC. The funny thing is, I think most of the CC I downloaded came from 2012, 2010, or some even earlier, and I couldn't help but notice that the Sims community had some kind of like this deep interest in grunge CC and like post-apocalyptic stuff back then. Not to say that's not still a thing now, but I was just like, wow, all this older stuff, that seems to be where all of the like grungy and like apocalyptic style CC came from. So I just thought that was interesting, and I think it was a lot of fun to build super out of my comfort zone. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not sure if I would do something like this again, because I really enjoy building things that are bright and fun and like make me feel good. And this, after so many days of working on it, was just, it was kind of like killing my vibes. Like, in the actual map in the game, it's a lot more gruesome. There's like a lot of blood and stuff. And although I do have some blood overlays that I downloaded, I did not use them because, I don't know, it's just not my vibe. Even though it does kind of mess with the accuracy of the build, I just feel like it wasn't that necessary. And then there's also weapons on the wall, where you basically walk up to this outline of a weapon, and that's where you buy your weapons so that you can fight. I think I was able to find some CC that could help me replicate that, but once again, I just felt like it's just like kind of one of those details that I felt like the build would be just fine without. I don't know, I guess I made like a G-rated ified zombie map because there's no blood and there's no weapons. And I mean, I have no problem with those things, but this is a Sims channel first and foremost. So yeah, I wanted to keep it Sims flavored, if you will. But like I said, you guys should definitely look up some pictures of the map, compare, see what you think, and let me know what you think, of course. So here I am adding some busy carpet to some of the areas, and adding some tile. A lot of the tile floor covering will be deleted as well, so that I can alter the terrain and paint it with scrap terrain paint. I honestly did not imagine that wall coverings would be such a big deal for this build. At first, I wasn't going to download any CC wall coverings, but as I was building and drafting, I realized that all of the Maxis wall coverings are way too bright. Even the darkest ones are still too bright and too clean. And one thing about this build is I did not want 1 square inch to be clean. I needed every single corner to look dirty or worn or falling apart or, you know, grungy and everything. So wall coverings actually ended up being one of the most important investments as far as like taking the time to find the right ones. They literally make the build what it is, and I am super grateful for all the amazing creators that upload this kind of stuff and create this kind of stuff. Like I said earlier, everything will be in the description. Don't worry, I'm gonna do my best to make sure everything is linked properly. But yeah, so in my normal builds, I'm usually very, what's the word? I'm very like meticulous about wall coverings when we're on multiple floors. I don't like wall coverings with crown molding or what's it called? Kick molding, to be on rooms that have multiple stories. So you see like the crown molding going across, the line of crown molding like going across, or the kick molding going across the middle of the wall. I don't know if that makes sense or if you guys understand what I'm saying, but in this build that was completely different. I did not care. I just needed the right colors. I think I can show you an example here. So as you can see, I used kick molding on the top floor and on the middle floor and on the bottom floor. And so as a result, you get those lines going through the wall. And it didn't look bad. It wasn't disruptive. It like right there, it looked appropriate. I don't know. So there were a few different kind of things I needed to adapt to working with the CC that I had. So here I am just filling up those empty spaces with some kind of covering. I find that it's a lot easier on the eyes to make it blend in well with the rest of the build, even if your sim like wouldn't be able to access it. Here I am working on the dressing room and trying to figure out some good wall coverings for that. In the actual map, there is like it's like a brick upper molding, and the bottom half is wallpaper, and I just couldn't find anything like that, so I just put random sections of brick in the dressing room, which it looks weird now, but when we add stuff, it will look a bit better. So yeah. Okay, so here is a crucial part that I will include a picture of, which is the link to the teleporter. So basically in the main cinema area, there is where you enter the teleporter, and you basically get zapped into a room inside of the cinema. But this pad here that I just made, this is where you get zapped out, if that makes sense. So you have to enter through the cinema, but then you get teleported back out into the world through here. So I just want to make sure to explain that because it looks really weird, and I think it's important to have some kind of comparison so you understand what it's supposed to be or what I'm trying to make. I know it looks very abstract, but it's the absolute best I could do. I searched all over for different CC, and honestly, obviously, it's just not something that I don't think anyone would think to make, rightfully so. So yeah, that was my solution. And then the half fence that I made travel all the way to the stage is meant to be the cord linking it to the other half of the teleporter. So yeah, here I am. I turned on the constrained floor elevation sheet so that I could raise it a bit and make it look a little more like it's popping off of the ground instead of just flat on the ground. And I'm satisfied with that. It's not the greatest, but I am more than happy with the result of that. Okay, so here I am building, trying to get an idea for how I want the main teleporter to look. Once again, I looked over for some kind of CC that might help replicate the look of it. And in the end, I ended up deciding on I forget what it's called, but it's basically an exercise machine. And when I built some walls around it and added the electrical like fencing around the top, I feel like it actually looked pretty good for what we had to work with. So that is the main teleporter, where you enter, you get zapped into a room. Sometimes you get zapped into multiple rooms, and then you get pretty much spit out at the teleporter pad in the main lobby. So yeah, if you haven't seen the actual map, this is gonna look really funny and strange, but I promise it is probably the best I could do. Like a lot of aspects of this build, it really is just like the best I could do. So yeah, so a lot of CC shopping went into this, looking for a lot of different recolors. I am a little bit sick, like CC shopping sick, and as many amazing creations as there are out there, of course, this build kind of reminded me of why I am more of a CC free kind of person. I have an issue whenever I CC shop, or say I'm gonna use CC for a build. I just go completely insane and get so much CC. I can never just get a few things here and there. I have to get like as many things as possible. Like, and I mean, I made a separate downloads folder just for this build, and it is there's so much stuff. So it was just kind of like a reminder, like, okay, this is why I don't really use CC much anymore, even though I think it looks great. Oh my gosh, I just went insane with the CC. Anyway, so I added some columns to the lobby to add more detail to the walls, because in the game, the walls are very intricate. They have a lot of detail, and I felt this was the only way I could really achieve that kind of like pop out, stand out wall detail, was shoving columns into the walls. So yeah, I really like how this came out as well. But I don't know why, but every so often playing Sims, I always want to just delete everything and completely start over. And I feel like I'm starting to get that feeling again, because I've downloaded so much CC over the years. And you know, I've had South Valley City going for so long, and Dusty Lakes and Sunwater, and I love those custom neighborhoods. It's just that randomly I'll get this itch to just start over fresh with no CC, nothing, no mods, fresh like neighborhoods and everything. And honestly, I kind of wish I had a second PC so that I could do that, but I am pretty set on finishing South Valley City and Sunwater before I even think about restarting a fresh Sims game. So yeah. Also, you guys may have noticed at the beginning, I decided to build this in Pleasant View, which is strange because we're always building in our custom neighborhoods, and I just felt like having an abandoned cinema did not really fit the vibe of any of my custom neighborhoods. And I never play Pleasant View. I only use it for machinimas if I need to. So I was like, I'll just clear out a space in Pleasant View and just plop it down there. And so yeah, the result is my Pleasant View now has this random cleared area off to the side that has this giant building. It looks like an asylum from the neighborhood view. But yeah, okay, so here I used a chandelier, which I believe is a Sims 4 conversion, and I layered it with the chandelier that comes with Mansion and Garden stuff, or Glamour Life stuff. I'm not sure. I can't remember it. But I layered them because I felt like one chandelier on its own was just not grand enough. And then you see here, I'm trying to like figure out ways to just use the one chandelier and connect it to the ceiling, but I can't. So I end up layering 2 chandeliers and it ends up looking okay. Also, as you guys can see, there's the vaulted ceiling CC or curved ceiling CC that I used. And it just adds a really, really nice layer of detail to the build that is also very much present in the map. So yeah. Okay, so here's another important thing I wanted to talk about. Those different machines you're gonna see me adding, which is obviously this one is, what is it called? A jukebox? This one is a jukebox that I added a light to. Those are supposed to represent the different power-ups. There's like power-up machines around the map, and I can insert a picture of those here as well. There's different power-up machines around the map. Basically, you spend money to buy these power-ups, and it might help you survive longer. So that blue machine is supposed to be revive, or like instant revive. I forget what it's called. You drink it and then it gives you an extra life. So if you die, then you can revive yourself. And then there's a few other machines around the map. Some make you reload faster and move faster. Some make you, give you more, what's the word? Like more shield, I guess. But yeah, you guys can see the pictures and kind of compare. I did my best to replicate that with the Maxis items, and I feel like it's pretty okay. I'm pretty happy with it. So yeah, as you guys can see, I've been talking so much. I'm sorry, you guys. As you can see, we've used our scrap terrain paint to make this just look completely destroyed and without having to add so many objects. I still add piles of rubble, but I don't have to add nearly as much because the terrain paint kind of does most of the heavy lifting. But yeah, I'm sorry I'm talking so much, guys. With these videos, I try to talk through most of it, but try to give you a little bit of think space so you can just watch. I just don't want there to be too much empty space, if that makes sense. And sometimes I do have a lot to say. Sometimes I'm just yapping, but anyway. And then at the beginning of this video, I think I'm gonna add like a little timestamp. So if you don't care to watch the speed build, you can just skip to the end and see the result. I'm really interested to see how many of you guys have played this game or heard of it or enjoyed the game or liked the game. And I'm interested to see if anyone who likes the game would be introduced to Sims by watching this. That would be something really interesting, I think. But yeah, I guess this is more Sims 2 propaganda that I'm adding to my collection because I want to expand the number of people playing Sims 2 specifically. I know like a lot of people have played it before, but I want more people to come back to the community, or like people that are new completely to see what it's about, because Sims 2 is absolutely the best. And this just like for me to be able to build something like this in this game, it just shows how much versatility there is with Sims 2, thanks to the community and all the creators. So yeah, anyways, here I am adding these floor overlays, which were a crucial piece of CC for this build. I needed everything to look dirty. I wanted no clean spots. And these floor overlays helped me do just that. I put them on the tiles, I put them all over the carpet, I put them everywhere. And then I also added these wall overlays to add holes in the wall and like add just more like damages and distressed details. So this is why I said furnishing and decorating was still a bit of a challenge, but less of a challenge than trying to get the layout right. So yeah, I just love all the little details. This was so different for me and such a nice challenge to really test myself, see what I can do. So yeah. Another thing I want to mention is there's a few objects here that are taken directly from Fallout 3. I've never played Fallout 3. I've played Fallout before, but never Fallout 3. And I found this wonderful creator who extracted, I don't know if they extracted or made the objects from scratch, but anyway, took objects from Fallout 3 and made them available in Sims 2. So if you see some very Fallout specific items, your eyes do not deceive you. It probably is from that game. So for example, I think that crooked picture is and there will be a few more objects that you guys see. So now another thing I want to talk about, you guys are going to see me put those boards up on the wall, and then throughout the map or throughout the lot, I'm going to add this little like cinder block and trunk contraption here. And then on top of it, there's going to be a teddy bear. So really weird. I'm going to insert a picture from the game somewhere here on the screen so you can compare. That is where the mystery box is supposed to be. And what the mystery box is like, so basically it looks just like that. There's cinder blocks, some wooden boards, some trunks, and a teddy bear on it. And next to every mystery box, there is a really like kind of rough, rugged drawing of the map. And there's little lights on the map. And when you flip the power on, because the objective, not the objective, but the main thing you have to do is to flip the power on to link the teleporter. Anyway, I could talk about it for a while, but anyway, you have to turn on the power in order to activate the mystery box. And wherever the light turns on, like illuminates on the map, that's the room that the mystery box has moved to. And the box, it's just, you just walk up to it. It costs like 900 points and you get a random gun. But it's like a special gun that you can't get off of the wall. It's like sometimes it's like a knife, sometimes it's a bow and arrow, sometimes you get a ray gun, sometimes you get like pistols, sometimes it's something bad and sometimes it's something good, basically. But it's like a little gambling thing that you can do. I know that was a lot to explain. It's just so weird trying to explain like a concept like that. That's so strange. But yeah, I'm gonna make sure I add some pictures so you guys can kind of see what I was thinking, what I was trying to do with the comparison. Anyway, here I am adding more weathered wall overlays all over the walls because they need to look as dingy as possible. And I'm happy I was able to somewhat achieve that with these wall overlays that these wonderful creators made. Another thing you'll see me doing a lot is adding those floor edge covering things, just to make sure there's no bright pieces of floor edge sticking out and ruining the aesthetic, the dark aesthetic. But yeah, just rubble everywhere, junk everywhere. I think the idea is that these zombies have like completely inhabited or taken over the cinema, and various people have come through the cinema trying to defeat them or something. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest, I know like when the game was like set in, I get the general idea. I don't know like the deep lore of it. So yeah, you guys will see me putting lots of these flags around, which, like I said, this is my PG version of what's actually all over the walls. And yeah, I like my version a lot better. So yeah. So as you guys can see, I'm adding lighting where appropriate, or where I think it needs to be. This section of the map in particular has very warm lighting. It's almost inviting. So I secretly place those little lamps behind the walls and stuff, and on the bottom two dummy floors, to get that area to emit that kind of warm lighting. Yeah, I really like how that area came out. That might be my second favorite area. So here I am adding some more of those really cool vaulted ceiling pieces. I made sure when I loaded into the game to look up at the ceilings, like I said before, and that is what I noticed in these two areas. That fancy ceiling kind of continued through here. So yeah, here's the little stairs area that you go down to go to the kitchen area. I don't know what this part is called. I keep calling it the kitchen just because it has tiles, but I'm not really sure. I can't remember, but some of these spaces seem kind of weird, but it's part of the design of trying to get you stuck on something while you're being chased by zombies. They like purposely want you to get caught on something or caught somewhere and have to maneuver around furniture and things like that. This space in particular was just full of dining tables and chairs, just kind of like all over the place. I really wish there was a way I could make objects lay sideways, but I know you can do that in Sims 4 with a mod, but not in Sims 2. Otherwise, I would have made all the chairs and tables like flipped over and stuff. But yeah, this area has a excuse me guys, sorry. This area also has kind of that weird like warm lighting but also some of the zombie spawn points are like green, glowing green, I believe. So that's why I put the green lamps on the floor inside of that little room there. I'm sorry, guys. Whenever I've been talking for a while, I just start to get like, I don't know, it gets like hard to talk. And then here I am adding more flags, of course, the PG version, my version, and just kind of adding all the little touches and some more vaulted ceiling pieces. And of course, in the end, I end up going throughout the build and making sure all the ceilings are covered with some kind of floor covering. I think I went with these dark gray, kind of weathered looking wooden planks for all the ceilings. I felt like it was just dark enough, but not too dark. And yeah. And so there you guys see I'm adding another kind of power up machine there using the same jukebox but in green this time. And I kind of constructed my own bar cabinet contraption right here. And then I put a bunch of cans out. In the game there's bottles, but I don't have anything like that in my catalog. And I didn't really feel like going out to get some. I think the cans work just fine. Maybe you guys noticed, but even when I'm using the scrap terrain paint, I'm still layering it like as if I would with grass to make it look more real. I didn't just use one scrap terrain paint and paint it over. I kind of mixed it with different terrain paints because I don't want it to look like a plastered on kind of thing. I want it to blend in well with the floors. And I feel like adding a little bit of like dark terrain paint over it helped make it look like ash has kind of like covered everything. Just little stuff like that. I tried to put some extra thought into to make it blend better. I figured if I'm gonna spend so much time on this build, I ought to make it right, or make it as perfect as I can possibly get it. My first time building through this, I was not proud of it at all. I just knew like I was like, I feel like if I upload this, I'm gonna feel some kind of embarrassment. I mean, like, I really loved this game. I wanted to do it justice, and I also wanted to do Sims 2 justice and showing you the capabilities you have here if you do things right, or if you get the right objects. So I kind of scatter lamps around. I didn't examine really closely in the game where there's wall lamps, but I noticed that there's definitely wall lamps around. They're just very small. They're very, very small and very dark. Whereas in Sims, the wall lamps really stand out. So it might look out of place, but there are indeed wall lamps in the actual map. So, all right, I think we've now officially moved on to the dressing room. In the map, the dressing room is really, sorry guys, the dressing room is really just full of mannequins and clothing racks and mirrors and some chairs. So I did my best with that, here we are layering some more scrap terrain paints, trying to get it just right. But yeah, I found some CC, like CC mannequin. Well, it's not quite a mannequin. It looks like a mannequin. It was close enough for me. So I added those and added lots of mirrors with the vanity lights. I thought it looked really, really nice, or very close to how it looks in the map, which made me happy. So I added some coat racks, some empty coat racks, some more rubble, just all kinds of things. And I'm sure you guys noticed I put cutouts in the ceiling here because in the game the roof, the ceiling of the dressing room is like, it's like peeled down. It's like literally like caving in, and it looks pretty similar to that, I think. So yeah, I think at this point I was really starting to get excited about the outcome. Whenever you're starting a really big project, it just always feels like you have such a ways to go. It's hard to be excited about it because you just know you have so much work ahead of you. But at this point, I think I felt like I was nearing the finish line. So yeah. Okay, so you guys are gonna sit here and watch me wrestle with these cables. And it's just so difficult because they're so thin and my depth perception is really bad. And of course, in a video game, it's even harder to tell. But my whole idea was trying to get a wire across this entryway here. Because in the game, throughout the map, there are electrical traps that you can set for some amount of money. And I was trying to get that idea across because they're very prominent in the game, but it was just too hard for me to replicate that. So you'll see that I don't really add that feature anywhere else, although they are throughout the map. But so we've moved on to the main stage or backstage, and there's some fake houses back here. There's a bunch of like trunks, and oh my gosh, my cats are fighting. I'm sorry about that, guys. Can you guys chill? There's some like fake houses backstage. There's a bunch of wires. There's some fire escape type things that I noticed, which, yes, once again, wonderful pieces of CC that will be linked in the description. So yeah, it's just a bunch of like backstage kind of theater stuff. So I did my best to fill it out without making it too cluttered, because I don't know, this was the biggest challenge for me, was figuring out stuff for backstage. Not because I couldn't find stage items, but because I couldn't find things that felt dated to the year, to the 60s. Everything felt a little bit too clean, a little bit too new. But I did my best. Added some little fire escapes going down the back of the building for a little bit of extra detail, because in the end, the outside of this building ends up looking so horrible, guys. I'm so serious. It ends up looking awful. I'm not trying to like be mean to myself. It just looks really bad. You can definitely tell the outside was not my concern. It was not a concern at all. But it's good enough. It's good enough. So I added some stage lights. I did notice that in the actual game there are stage lights. There's lots and lots of wires. Another great CC set that I believe I got from Tumblr, that also came with these pipes, these very realistic looking pipes. Yeah, Sims 2 community is just absolutely insane. I may even honestly make a Google Doc of all the custom content so that it's easier to find. I'm not sure what's the right way to go about that. I feel like there's just a lot of links, and I'm not sure how that's gonna look, or how easy that will be to look through if I put it in the description of the video. But anyway, I'm adding some electrical stuff right here because this area is where you would go to find the power switch to turn the power on, and thus activating the teleporter and all the electrical traps. So this was a very important detail. I was willing to spend some extra time on it because it is crucial to the point of the game. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have played some different zombie games, but I have noticed that pretty much all of them, they start to get a little bit repetitive. It feels like, you know, you just get more and more zombies going every round that you go on. And I don't know, I like the little element of having to turn the power on and like you get to teleport and stuff. I think it's cool. But so yeah, and then it was really hard for me to take note of what was backstage in the game because it's so dark. So I just kind of filled it with these trunks and a bunch of wooden boxes, and I was like, you know what, that looks pretty backstagey to me, so I'm happy with it. There are indeed trunks, they're just not this big, but this was a wonderful like filler object to put back here. So yeah. So another really cool item you may have noticed are the toxic waste barrels. I got those from a creator on Tumblr. Once again, it will be linked. And I think the really cool thing about them is, one, they do emit this green kind of light, which isn't really accurate to the actual map, but I don't care at all. I think they look way cooler than the ones in the map. And also in live mode, they do actually like decrease your Sims environment and hygiene and some other things, I think. So, and they like emit actual fumes in live mode. I think it's really, really neat. I think you guys should check it out if you're interested in those kinds of objects. The creator obviously put a lot of work into it, and I think it definitely paid off well and came across well. So definitely a nice addition to this. Kind of makes it feel more alive since I'm not actually taking screenshots with Sims on this lot. Although it would be really cool if I could get a bunch of zombie Sims and like stage them to take pictures on this lot. Guys, by this point, by the end of this build, I was just completely through. I was completely over it and just done. I did not want to do any more with it. I just wanted to see the final pictures and the final product. So here I am trying to place more cables. It's kind of difficult because this is a 3-story space and the cables are meant for a 1-story space. So I'm trying to find ways to make it look like they are connected somewhat to something, which is where those mini fences come in, and I just start kind of drawing them out everywhere. But yeah, the idea is just that it looks cluttered backstage and it just looks like a wiry mess, and I think we achieved that pretty well. So also the electric fence that I put around the teleporter, another amazing piece of CC. There is an animated version and a regular version. I have not yet seen what the animated version looks like in live mode. I really want to see, but I'm guessing it does like, it moves and looks like it's actually like buzzing and stuff. I think that would be really cool to see. So yeah, everything will be in the description. Don't worry at all, just look at the description. Here I am adding some stage curtains to frame the quote-unquote projector screen. It's supposed to be a projector screen, but I just had a giant TV that's like for movie theaters, and it worked out just fine, I think. So yeah. Okay, so this little secret room that you can't get to is, this is like the actual like projector machine room, where the projector machine is, and the light kind of pokes through that window. This is where you get zapped to when you take the teleporter. I can't remember if it's every time you take the teleporter or if it's by chance, but you get zapped up there, and basically that's where you have an opportunity to buy grenades, and you can throw them out the window at all the zombies, because they'll all just group up in the middle of the theater and kind of like stand there. So you can buy grenades from there, you can throw them at the zombies from up there, and then there's also this machine in there called a pack-a-punch machine. And once again, I used a jukebox and a light to make it look like some kind of special machine, where you can put your weapon inside and it will make it better. It will like make it stronger, or like make it more powerful. And it costs a lot of money. I think it's like 4,500 credits. I can't remember. But yeah, you have an opportunity to do that. And basically, like, the weapons that you get at the beginning are not good enough to sustain you if you want to really maximize your rounds. So yeah, you get zapped into that special room, and it's really cool. I didn't put much thought into it. Like I said, by this point I was like feeling very, very done with this build. And the thing is, this build didn't even take me that long for the size of it in comparison to other builds I've done. The real time investment is everything off camera, all of the drafting that I did off camera. That is where my exhaustion kind of comes from. If I knew what I was doing from the start, I would not feel this way. But yeah, it was quite a journey, and I love how it came out. I'm super proud of it. Making something so dark and grungy in a very bright game. It's quite difficult. I don't know if any of you guys are into like game development or game design, but if this is any indication of how difficult it is, I think I want nothing to do with it, because I mean, I'm creating a map that was already made. I can't imagine creating something like this from scratch. Seems extremely difficult. I think that's just a crazy talent. So, okay, here we are working on the outside. I give it absolutely no thought. I just want it to look scary. So I went with this brick all around. Looks super repetitive, super funny. And I put these fancy half fences all around the rooftop. My game was dying. Like, when I put all the floors up and all the walls up, my game was just like losing it. I was like, my game is about to crash, isn't it? So I'm just like obsessively saving over and over. I end up covering all the grass on the outside with concrete because I feel like it fits the vibe. And you do see a little tiny snippet of a little space outside the building in the game. And that's what I kind of use to imagine what the outside aesthetic might be. I put a bunch of wire fencing, and I end up deleting the phone and the trash can. Thought about putting some plants, but nothing really made sense. And then I throw a bunch of windows on here. The key is that I only put windows where light will not actually shine through into the build, because I want zero light coming through. So I put them in like the dummy spaces and spaces where it doesn't actually connect with the build, if that makes sense. So, well, I'm gonna stop talking here in a second, and we're going to get into some cinematic shots and then some screenshots. And then I will talk to you guys again towards the end of the screenshots. So, yeah. All right, so here we are with the screenshots. I know you're probably thinking, what a strange choice of soundtrack in the background for such a dark, grungy, spooky build. Well, all I can say is I do not want to get copyright striked, so we're just gonna stick with our usual soundtrack. I'm so sorry, I know it's off-putting, but anyway, I hope you guys like the build. Let me know if you guys like this game, if this is your first time hearing of it, if you already knew about this game, or just what you think of the build and everything. I'd be happy to know any critiques and things like that. I'm just trying to get a little bit better with every build. And once again, please check the description for any CC used. This slot is not available for download right now because I know it will crash your game. And if you think there's a chance that it won't and you would like it, you would like to download it, just let me know in the comments, and I literally, all it takes is one person and I will upload it and make it available for you. So thank you for watching, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.